Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandy and today we're going to have a different type of video. I don't usually make these types of videos and I want to go ahead and apologize in advance for if there's any background noise going on in the background of this video. It's because it's a really hot day here where I live. It's almost 90 degrees, so I have the window open just to get a little bit of breeze, so you might be able to hear some background noise. So back to what I was saying, today's going to be a different type of video. I'm going to be doing a response video to one that I saw here on YouTube. So let me start from the beginning. I watch a lot of reels on Instagram. So if you don't know what reels are, they're basically just like TikToks. They're just posted on Instagram instead of the TikTok app. And I frequently see reels or these short video clips from this user. Her name is Pauline Tran, and I believe her tag name is IAmPaulineTran, or Tran, sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but she posts about her personal journey dealing with strict parents and parents who were either abusive or toxic or not there for her growing up, and me myself growing up in a strict parent household. My parents were strict when it came to doing things that typical teenagers do. I wasn't allowed to do certain things. I relate to some of her content, but also some of her content is just interesting to see how some people's home life were different than mine. And so she had a particular video where she talked about moving out of her parents' house before she turned 18. And she said she would have more details in her YouTube channel, like in a video, like explaining how she planned everything and how she did everything. So just being curious and bored, I just went to her YouTube channel, I watched the video, and it got me to thinking. So I, like I said, grew up and my parents were strict. I had lived in a strict household, and when I was 18, I went to college and I moved out. I never moved back. I had no intentions of, moving back home. Once I graduated college, I was like, I got to get my life going, because I didn't want to go back to, the type of relationship that we had before. I liked, my freedom of being by myself. So when I saw her video, I was like, okay, there are some things that, if I could go back in time and tell myself, or if I could go help someone like Pauline or somebody out there who's dealing with that type of situation. Hopefully it's not an abusive situation. Maybe it's just your parents are strict and you just want to be on your own to make your own decisions. Hopefully this video can help you. If you are dealing with an abusive situation, please tell someone, call someone. There are so many online services and phone line services for therapists and counselors that you can get help. And if you need to move out, hopefully some of the tips I have for you will help you as well. So I'm just going to go in the order and talk about the topics that Pauline talked about in her video. So the first topic is going to be money, and I'm looking down at my notes over here. So Pauline talked about working 20 hours a week and she didn't spend any of her money. So she explained that the situation happened where but neither of her parents could really take care of her, so she ended up having to live with her aunt, and she did not start working until she was 17 years old, and her aunt made a bank account for her, and she would not allow her to spend money until she was 18. So she basically, all the hours that she worked, all the money that she earned was just kept there, and it was that was the money that she used to move out with. So some tips that I would add on to that. First, if I were in that situation, I would start working as soon as possible, as soon as legally possible, and even before that if possible. So what I mean by that is, in most states, teenagers can work with the consent of a parent or guardian by the age of 16. So if that's an option, go for that. If you're younger than that right now, I would try babysitting or house sitting, taking people's dogs on a walk, anything that you can earn extra cash. I do like the idea of having a bank account set up that no one will use it. You don't use it, no one else can use it. But obviously, if you have an abusive parent or a guardian sort of situation and they might try to take your money from you, then you might want to try to keep it in an envelope in your room or somewhere safe. Just keep it somewhere safe. So yeah, there's also a lot of work from home jobs right now. With everything that happened last year, there are a ton of work from home jobs that you can do just with a computer if you have access to one, with a phone if you have access to one. There's transcription services, there's customer service, those type of things. You can sell products online if you're like an entrepreneur, you have some sort of skill, like you do paintings or you do some sort of craft that people want to buy. There's a lot of like Instagram businesses. You can learn a lot about building a business, an LLC and all that, those sort of things. I'm not an expert in that area, but there are a lot of teenagers or young adults who have created businesses online through social media. And if that's something that you're interested in, that could help you start your fund so that you can be able to move out. And then if you're not able to save 100% of your paycheck or whatever, amount that you're making, let's say you're babysitting and you make an average of $1,000 a month, save at least 90% of whatever you make in a month and don't touch it, because that's going to be your money to move out with. If you absolutely cannot save 100%, which is, I thought, good on Pauline and her aunt for helping her set that up and, keeping that in control. But if that's not feasible for you, if you just have to have a few small pleasures in life, like we all do, then try to keep it under like 90. Try to like save at least 90 or 85% of the money that you make, and that'll help you have a good like chunk of a fund to help you move out with. Okay, so the next section is called housing. So for this section, Pauline talked about renting a room from a friend. So she had a friend situation where her friend's parents owned a situation where her friend's parents owned a property. They were allowing her friend to live there for free, and her friend was looking for roommates. So if you have a situation like that where you know someone else who also wants to move out, someone you can trust who can also help you pay the bills, then you could go that route. You could just look for roommates in general. Obviously, if you like go to college, like away to college, you could live on campus. If you're going to college but you're choosing to still, like if you're going to college in your same city and you don't really have a reason to live on campus, or if it's like just too expensive to live on campus, you could live somewhere just off of campus, like a few blocks from campus, and just find a roommate situation. If you're looking for a roommate, you definitely want to visit the location, the bedroom, whatever it is that you're renting in person. You'll want to check for security measures such as locks on the door. You want to check for like entrances. So like if they're like, oh, we always just leave the door unlocked, like, you just have to decide for yourself what you feel is a safe situation. Obviously, if you're looking just for a roommate, it's going to be a stranger. So you have to have some sort of like personality mesh. You have to have some sort of trust there. So yeah, that can be a sort of overwhelming experience if it's like your first time ever moving out. Being in a college environment sort of helps makes that transition smoother, because everyone's coming in at the same time and you're all experiencing something for the first time together. So I can see how that might make things easier. But if that's not your journey, that's not your route, I would try to go with a family friend or a friend who also is looking for a place. And then, last resort, you could look for just a roommate. Just make sure you vet them completely. Some people even if they're looking for a roommate, they might even ask you to do a background check. So that could be something that might help you feel more secure in the place that you choose. Okay, so in the next section, Pauline talked about transportation. So she specifically talked about having a friend give her a ride, and then she would give that friend gas money. That's what she did her last year of high school, and then after that, when she would have to go to work, she would borrow her aunt's car because she still lived in the same city or town as her aunt who was helping her out. So that's all good and well. You could totally, make friends, have them give you rides, give them a little bit of gas money, that's up to you. But if that's not an option for you, if you don't really have close friends like that who are willing to give you a ride, or maybe your friends you don't have a car and your friend doesn't have a car, then another option you could do is public transportation. So buying like a monthly pass for public transportation, depending on where you live, like if you live in the city, like if you live in like it doesn't have to be a big city, but like most larger cities or towns have like at least a bus system, if nothing else. So have a bus system, maybe you have a train or a trolley system. That could be really helpful for you. Another thing you could do, you could always ride a bike, a scooter, like a bike or a scooter. It would be helpful if you were, if like for example, if you were a student and you lived with roommates off campus, if you had a bike, you could just bike to class, and then you could try to find work near where you live and then just bike to work, and then you just stay in your area. But if you but on the other hand, if that doesn't work, you could ride the bus. You could bike to class, ride the bus to work. You could walk to class, you could walk to work, depending on how far you work, live, and go to school. So there's a myriad of different options that are like affordable. You just have to see what works for you. If you can pull it off, you could, if you were like before 16 years old, you were babysitting, you were house sitting and saving up that money, and then let's say you got a job at 16 and you worked for 2 years until you graduated high school. If you had enough money, you could buy a car outright. It's probably not going to be the best car. You have to be careful to buy a car that's obviously, it's not going to be the best if you're just like buying it outright, because if you only work for like 4 years for minimum wage or less than minimum wage, you're not going to have that much money to spend on a car. So you just have to be careful of who you buy it from. Like you could even see if like an aunt or uncle has an old car that they're trying to get rid of, and then you could just like buy it off of them for like maybe $500 or $1,000, and you can see like what you can work out that way. So that's another option. That's transportation. And then the next section is food and housewares, like furnishing your house or your apartment that you're staying in. So Pauline talked about working at a restaurant. She worked at a restaurant in high school, or like at the end of her high school experience, and so she was able to eat for free, which is good because then you don't have to buy groceries. It might not be the healthiest food. You can choose whether or not to eat the healthiest food on the menu or not. But yeah, so if you're able to work in a restaurant, you can get free food and drinks. But if you're not able to work in a restaurant, or that's just not your gig, you could always go to food banks or local churches or community organizations that give out food. Especially with what happened last year, there was so much outpouring of support in the community for food drives and food banks and that sort of thing. So you could always do that. Something that I used to do when I was in college, I would go to like youth groups, which was basically like church groups for college students, and we would meet on the days, like on Sundays, because the cafeteria on my campus was closed on Sundays, and they would feed us. So that's like a free way to get money. Free way to get money. That's a free way to get food. And if you're into it, you're into it. If you're just there for the food, you're just there for the food, whatever. Another thing you could do is, I didn't know this at the time, I didn't learn this till like the end of my senior year, but someone told me that if you're a student, you actually qualify for food stamps or CalFresh, or what else do they call it? EBT, that's what they call it. So if you're a student, if you're a college student, you qualify for EBT, food stamps, CalFresh, whichever one it is, whatever it's called in your area. But I think you have to be working part-time or something like that. So if that's your gig, if you have a little 10, 15-hour job, 15-hour a week job, or 20 hours a week job, and then you have EBT, that will help you save the little bit of money that you're making, and have food also. You don't have to choose. Another thing, so in terms of furnishing your house, you can always go to a Dollar Tree or Dollar General, Target, Walmart. They all sell plates, cups, silverware for $1 each, or sometimes even less than $1. I was at Walmart this past weekend, and they had cups and plates, the plastic ones, for 50 cents. So you can get 2 sets of everything, or 4 sets of everything, especially if you're just living by yourself. You don't need a whole like dinner set. You just need a couple plates, a couple forks, a couple spoons, and you're good. So yeah, that's something you can do. Another thing you can do is, this is something that I've learned recently in the last few months, because I've been watching a more like eco-friendly, sustainable type of YouTube channels. So I found out that there's actually these Facebook groups that give things away for free. In my area, it's called Buy Nothing and then fill in the blank. So it's like, for example, if you lived in LA, it's like Buy Nothing Los Angeles or Buy Nothing LA. So it's just like a group. You have to prove that you live in the neighborhood. It's like supposed to be like a community group. And then let's say, for instance, I had like a vacuum. I had a vacuum for like years and years, and I was going to upgrade to a new vacuum, and I didn't want to get rid of my old vacuum and like throw it away. Instead of like giving it to Goodwill for them to sell it, I could just post it in this Facebook group and help somebody else in my neighborhood have a vacuum who didn't previously have one. So that's a good way. And it's like literally buy nothing. People just post something in there. They just post their items that they want to get rid of, and you just go pick it up for free. Like all you have to do basically is pay for the gas to get there. So that's also an option. I have seen people post chairs. I have seen people post vacuums, microwaves, clothes. They've posted food in there. Like these canned goods are gonna go bad and I'm not gonna eat them. Or they'll be like, I'm moving out of the area and I need to get rid of stuff. So like, first come, first serve. It's on the corner of blah, blah, and you just go pick it up. And because it's supposed to be like a neighborhood thing, it's not that far. You don't have to drive like across town or like, miles and miles to go pick up just like a bag of rice or something like that, So you just go pick it up and it's free. I actually got a Razor scooter for free like that. Like some woman's kids had outgrown it, and I wanted a Razor scooter just to like go down the street to the liquor store with. So I went and picked up a free Razor, and now I have it in my garage. So I think that's everything I have for you all. If you guys are interested in another video like this, definitely let me know down in the comments. I can definitely think of more, I can try to think of more tips to help you all out in terms of getting your first apartment and things like that. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down and I'll talk to you later. Bye.